Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here with a little bit of Atomic Pop chat. How you all doing? As you can hear, I've still got my cold. I'm feeling a lot better. I've actually got some colour. So I'm winning. That's the main thing. So it's the first day I sort of felt like I can properly function, though I still look disaster. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to jump on and talk about a few things with you all. I was hoping to do a stream beginning of the week or over the weekend, but I just wasn't well enough. My voice had just gone. Thankfully, it's fully back, but it wasn't worth the struggle. But as always, you give it a couple of days, and you can always rely on Hollywood to come out with some gems and completely change what I was going to say about certain things. But not completely change, but I put a different light on some of the things I've already said. So, okay, that's what Hollywood's there for, right? To say stupid things and alienate their audience, apparently. So, anyway, before we dive into those gems, I just wanted to talk about Severance. As you know, I was really, really looking forward to this show coming back. We've now had 2 episodes. And I think so far, so good. I mean, you can see, I think it's going to be another slow burn, and I think they really needed to pick up the pace for season 2. As much as I love season 1, I've said on here many times that, you really have to stick with it. And I'm generally not good at slow burn stuff. So the fact I stuck with it, I think, is testament to the writing and the performances in this show. But they're a little bit in danger of not moving the story forward quick enough, I think. But that's not to say the first 2 episodes haven't been great. I mean, the performances, the acting, which really is what, as well as the writing, obviously, but this is really what keeps bringing me back to this show. And the first episode sort of picked up, and we find out sort of 5 months after the season cliffhanger. Some of them remember what happened when they were outside, some of them don't. And obviously the probably the most devastating, well, 2 potentially, you got Mark, who found out that the office counsellor is basically his wife, who he thought was dead, and was killed in a car accident, and he identified her body. Excuse me, guys. This is why I've not been streaming. Let me just bear with me. So joys of being ill. So he's basically found out that potentially this is his wife, or she's certainly her doppelganger. And in some ways, psychologically, Helly finds out that she's the daughter of Lumen, that she is part of this machine that she's actually fighting against. And obviously her comments of her innie or outie, no, innie, saying how they're like being tortured and they're all really unhappy, obviously has massive repercussions on her family's and her father's business. So she can't quite believe that, and obviously she doesn't tell them, or either she doesn't, they've done something so she doesn't know, but when they basically say, what did you see? She lies. She said, I was just at home, I was chilling out, nothing special. Where obviously she's at this big glam presentation where she's supposed to be seeing the virtues of the company. So the company are doing damage control, and initially the rest of the team have all been fired. Mark S comes back, and we find out they need Mark S for something, and he's really close to achieving something. And of course, we still don't really know what Lumen does, other than we see on the screens they capture these numbers and put them into boxes. Who knows what that is? But they need Mark S to complete this. So Mark S continues to sort of freak out, and he wants his team back and try and put him with a new team. Just doesn't work. He sort of sends himself notes to his outie, and and he finally sort of breaks into the office and leaves a message for the board saying, I want my team back. They're my friends. You can't just take them away from me. So at the end of the first episode, the team is all brought back. They're not, some of them, most of them aren't, or some of them are relieved to be back because they can't get jobs elsewhere. And some of them are just like, really don't know whether they should be back because of what they found out. So episode 2, which is kind of, rerun or recap of episode 1 in some ways, but from slightly different angles, or sort of seeing more what happened, because the first episode is very much a Mark S episode. The second episode is more what happened to the other guys, and I think a great bit of writing and acting is the character Helly and Helena. As I said, one's the daughter of the Lumen Corporation, and her Innie and her Outie are completely different personalities. And same with Mark S to a degree. But her really struggling with, you know, she's grown up in this corporate environment. She's very senior in this thing, and believes in it, what they do 100%, to then find her Innie is completely opposed to this company and help them try and take it down. So it's a great bit of acting. Like the personalities are completely different. And she also finds out that her and Mark had sort of struck up this kind of relationship. Well, there's definitely an attraction there. So, you know, there's all these dichotomies sort of starting to come out. Patricia Arquette comes back into this episode, and she was offered a different job, but she wants to carry on being overseeing this floor. So she walks away from the company, and she says, like, basically, you're scared of me. And they're like, oh, we're not scared of anything. But clearly, she's completely psychotic, right? So, but again, great performances from her. So we basically sort of see what was going on with the other characters. And at the end of that one, we kind of loop all the way back round to them all rejoining the company again. So I think it is a necessary episode. So we get all the viewpoints and where's everybody at mentally coming back to Lumen, and what that might do or not do to the dynamic of the team and what happens next. But I think the next episode really needs to start moving season 2 forward. But so far, really enjoying it. So the acting's brilliant, writing's just as good. But they do need to pick up the pace, I think, which I did all the way through season 1. They need to pick up the pace. Hopefully they will. But yeah, I'm still as intrigued as I always have been. We're no closer to what does Lumen do, and I think some of that stuff needs to be answered, or certainly a good way being answered at the end of this season, assuming we're going to get another season if it does well. But I'm still intrigued. I'm still watching it. I'm still looking forward to it. So still a recommend so far. Let me know your thoughts as ever. I know there's a few people that watched Severance season 1 on my recommendation. So thanks for trying it out, guys. And let me know how you're finding season 2. So skipping to good old Hollywood, and you gotta love them, right? So, or not, as the case may be. Oh, like if this film doesn't have enough problems already, right? Captain America. Oh my days! You know, the pre-sales are not good. It was like 80 to 95 million or something, which sounds a lot, but compared to previous Marvel, films of this caliber, or supposed, previous Captain America films, it's not good. Nobody's excited for this film, and just when you thought they couldn't lose any more potential customers, Anthony Mackie comes out with a statement while doing some junkets or press tours in Italy to say Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. So, the fact Captain America clues in the title, apparently, he doesn't feel Captain America represents America anymore. And then given the current political climate, he's in Hollywood, you can only assume he's left-leaning. I don't know. I mean, he's actually one of the few actors who doesn't often speak out of turn or puts his size 9s in it all the time. So I think that's why people are a little bit taken aback that he said this. But, again, it's, come out your mouth. But he's then had quantified this statement on Instagram. So obviously Marvel have gone, are you freaking kidding me? Just shut up. And so he's clarified his earlier remarks. Let me just say the actual remarks is that they've done a bit of back to front order in this article. Here we go. So it says, to me, Captain America represents a lot of different things. I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. Mackie said while on stage in Rome by promoting blah, 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 blah. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable, which are true. They're all the characteristics of Captain America. So is he basically saying that America doesn't represent those values anymore, that he doesn't think America's honorable or has integrity? That's kind of what he's implying. And again, I guess that's sort of based on current election. So sort of yet again, not as on the nose or brutal as some of his other Marvel colleagues, basically coming out and calling huge swaths of the American population names. It's kind of a bit of a, backhanded one, this one, I guess. So he's then come out to say, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. Mackie wrote on his Instagram stories Tuesday, I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. And again, fair statement, right? But I think it's really good that because obviously Captain America was created, I think back at World War II, and he was literally fighting the Yazis, and the character itself, which came across in the first Captain America movie, the first Avenger, that he was there to help recruit soldiers, and he obviously managed to sign up and all those kind of things. But the actual role was then there to be promote the US Army and promote the Allies, all of that. So I think he had to come out and say, look, I'm not dissing the armed forces in any way, shape or form. But as usual, they just can't get out of their own way, right? He's obviously feels the values of Captain America aren't the values of America anymore, based on the election, is how I interpret this as an Anglophile looking across the water, which in turn, like I say, insults 70 odd million people. So oops, Mackie. And so I think everybody's just a little bit like, he's normally pretty good. He doesn't really venture too much. The only devil's advocate thing I will say here, as it says in the article, the response that this answer came to, we don't know what the question was or how the question was framed. So in fairness to him, but he hasn't come back and clarified either. But even still, this film's got enough problems without Anthony Mackie as alienating the audience yet again, basically saying, you guys don't represent any of these things anymore. So, ouch. So, well done, Mr. Mackie. Good work. It's strange. I mean, but again, it's very easy for us to try and interpret what he meant and say not knowing what the original question was. So I give him a smidge of the benefit of the doubt because we don't know what he was actually asked. But the answer, or what we've heard, just doesn't look good. So I'd say from now on, they just need to stop doing these press tours, or literally, here's your script. Do not deviate from this script. You don't have an opinion on anything. Just promote the film, right? Anyways, moving on to from season 3. Again, this was a show I was really looking forward to. It already aired in America back in September, I believe. We always get it in the January. And I've managed to avoid all spoilers. So I've talked about, obviously, season 1, season 2 on my channel. You can go back and find the videos. As ever with these things right now, I think season 1 is still the best. And for those that don't know, you've got this concept that there's this kind of, this town, a little sort of backwater town. It's run down, things don't seem quite right, things don't fit, and you've got various people who are on road trips or traveling somewhere all across America, all different roads, all different destinations, and they come across a tree fallen in the road. When they turn around and go back, they end up in this town. So we don't know where this town is, how they got there, why they've been brought there. And at the end of season 2, the cliffhanger was one of the characters was led to this lighthouse, and she was shoved off the top of the lighthouse, and then she wakes up back in our world, in I think it's Maine, in hospital. So somehow her falling, which should have killed her, she's then woken up back in our world. So I'd say the pluses of this season, that piece about her getting back to the real world, they didn't drag it out all season with her trying to figure out how to get back, or could she get back, or people looking for her. It was kind of resolved, I think, by the 3rd episode, maybe the 4th episode. So that was resolved quite quickly, and I like that. So spoilers, guys. She gets back to the town, and she was in the real world, or we're led to believe she was in the real world. While she's in the real world, she meets Victor's father, who's a key character in this. He was like 12 years old when he ended up, or a bit younger, when he ended up in this town with his sister and his mother. Now, in this town, at night, these creatures come out. And again, the way they're dressed, they're from all different times and eras. But they're like these kind of demons, for lack of a better word, or demons / sort of vampires, who basically just almost ghouls, like they just tear the townspeople apart and eat them and kill them. Now, they found these talismans, which they can then put on the houses and the properties, so these things can't come in anymore, unless you invite them in, or if you open a door or a window, they can come in. But as long as everything's closed and you've got this talisman up, they can't come in. So when Victor was there, these creatures basically had murdered his mother, murdered his sister. As a little boy, he had to bury them. So as he's grown up, obviously he's an adult now, he's meant to be probably late 40s, maybe even 50. It's hard to tell because he's had a difficult life, so he's not aged well. And obviously he has severe PTSD. He's got, very stunted emotional people skills. This kid lived on his own for a long time and saw lots of horrific things. So even as a grown adult, he's still very childlike, and relates more to children than he does to adults, and not in a creepy way. And so she finds Victor's father, and Victor's father then ends up coming back with her. And then there's a bit of an interesting storyline there with, his father. He's obviously been missing for 34 years, this kid. And so the father's believed that he's dead, and his whole family's dead. They just disappeared. Obviously, he subsequently finds out that his wife and daughter are dead, and that Victor, and he's trying to forge this relationship with Victor, but he's not seen him since he was a little boy. And it's quite a sweet dynamic and story sort of playing out there. There's lots of weird stuff that goes on. And these trees with bottles in, and in the bottles there's these numbers, and is that how you can go backwards and forwards between the worlds? So I think and then we had one of the couples, she can't have children, but somehow she's pregnant, and how the character gets back into this village. She was in an ambulance, so now they've got an ultrasound, which they didn't have before. But when they do the ultrasound, there's nothing there. And then she starts getting these weird cravings for blood and intestines and things. Very Rosemary's Baby. And she's angry all the time. She becomes quite violent. And a series of events happens, and she gets kidnapped. And then she does actually end up giving birth, but then she ends up giving birth. It's to a sack. And very quickly, that, like, within minutes, that sack grows into a full-grown one of these demons, and this is the demon that was killed in season 2. So there's a whole thing, like, as some of the characters can sort of see ghosts of children there, and it's sort of unfolding that these demon creatures sacrifice their own children so they could live forever. Gross. So some bits have moved on, or brought a bit more to the story, but we still don't know why these people are here. Have they been there before? It's almost like now some of them are reincarnated or something. And as I said, when I was looking forward to this, my biggest fear, right, is it's just going to be another Lost. They're just making it up as they go along. They don't really know where they're going. There's all these plot threads. Are any of them actually going to get resolved? Are we actually going to get any answers? Now, I'm still enjoying the show, but this season really kind of threw up that I don't know if they know where they're going with this feeling. And I'm just like, oh, it's going to be Lost again, isn't it? You just know it's going to be Lost again. So I did enjoy it. It's 100% mystery box, right? It's like, and we just keep opening the Russian dolls and we just find another mystery and a mystery and a mystery. But the acting's good. The characterization is good. And that's why I'm kind of sticking with it, because you do care about these characters, or some of these characters. Some of them are just like, you know, but I can see why, you know, season on season, it's less popular, you know, if you like Rotten Tomatoes scores. But it's still getting really good ratings, apparently, and it has been renewed, I think, for season 4, maybe 4 and 5, I'm not sure, but definitely season 4. So I am looking forward to it. It is a good show if you like that sort of mystery box type thing, you know, if you liked Lost, if you liked Manifest, which I also loved, and they did have an answer for that. So, you know, fair play. You know, but you like these sort of, and you sort of think supernatural, bit sort of Salem's Lot, that kind of thing. I think you'll love this show. But after watching this season, I just think they don't know where this is going. And I hope somebody comes up with a really good way. And I think, and this is the problem with a lot of American shows, not so much these days because everything gets cancelled after one or two seasons, but they should try and wrap this up in 5 seasons. Don't just keep going and going and going with it, or to get to 7 or 8 seasons. If it's popular, I know it makes the studios money or whatever, but if they can wrap this up in the next 2 seasons with a solid landing, which they ended up doing Manifest. Manifest was supposed to be 7 seasons, I think, and it ended up being 5 because it got cancelled off the original network. Netflix picked it up and done a bit of a time jump and done sort of like the last 2 seasons. That actually worked, right? That actually worked really well. So my advice to them is have a bloody good idea what all this means and wrap it up in the next 2 seasons. But we will see. Go check it out. Again, love to know your thoughts. I think a lot of people will hate this show because of Lost. They'll just go, nah, I'm not invested in this. But, you know, I'm a sucker for it. That's the problem. I get drawn into all these sort of mystery box shows, and 9 times out of 10, you're not disappointed. But say, I actually quite liked Manifest. It, you know, they had an answer. May not have been the answer everybody liked, but they had an answer. So fair play. So moving on. Back to good old Hollywood, putting their size 9s in it. And this time, so obviously I done a reaction to the Daredevil trailer, which I overall liked. As a lot of people still, you know, reservations about the writing. Is it going to be good or not? But, you know, definitely more optimistic and going into it with an open mind. So you can then always rely on Hollywood, in this case, the showrunner, to open their big fat mouth and kind of annoy everybody with complete arrogance and hubris, right? So I made a couple of comments this week. This is the first one. So Daredevil, Born Again showrunner Dario, is it Scardapane, compares the show to The Penguin, which, as you'll know, I really enjoyed The Penguin. I thought it was a great adaptation of the character. Colin Farrell, great acting, great writing, absolutely blew me away. Was not expecting it to be as good as it was. So we're even more grounded, even less stylized, even more rooted in the here and now. I loved Penguin. We're a little faster, meaner, cleaner in our storytelling. Why is this modern thing about being less stylized and grungy, and it's all about the now, when we keep saying what we want is escapism? right? It's fine to have a bit of allegory, not a problem with that. And the Penguin, it was grounded in the sense that you didn't have the fantastical of like some of the Batman characters, like Mr. Freeze and things like that, and Poison Ivy. But it's not the real world. It's Gotham, right? And I think they straddled that really, really well in the Penguin, and that's why it works so well. That we know it's not the real world. It's not now. It's not us. It's not New York or Chicago or whatever. It's Gotham. And there was enough where, because it's in this fantasy world, like, some of it when you're looking what's happening with the Penguin and the mob families, everybody's just running around killing each other and doing this, that, and the other thing. That, that doesn't happen in the real world most of the time. But done a great job. So already we've got the hubris of this. This hasn't even come out. A lot of the fans are very skeptical after having 3 great seasons on Netflix to say, yeah, but our show's a bit more better than that. And you're like, okay, well, okay, dude. And then I think the one that's really kind of irritated people, if you just bear with me a second, a little bit further down. I think it's here. Yeah. So again, same showrunner. Daredevil Born Again is a lot less navel gazing than before. The earlier show at its best was fantastic. Yes. At its worst, it was 2 characters in a room talking about what a hero is. I felt that had been done. I'm not taking swipes. I just want to hear characters grousing about their lot in life. You hear crap like that and you go, completely misunderstood the character, completely misunderstood why the Netflix shows worked. They are some of the best characterizations we have had in Marvel, right? And the type of characters, the interactions that you've had between Daredevil and Kingpin, Daredevil and Punisher are some of the best scenes. And again, even when it's just like, Foggy's talking to him and, why are you spiraling? What the hell's going on with you? This is, it had the perfect balance of that kind of stuff and understanding the characters and the motivations plus the action. So are we just going to get this kind of, hey, because we did, I did like the trailer because it did look gritty. It did have that level of violence that we had in Netflix. But if they basically took from that people like the Netflix show because it was all just going around, beating people up, this show is not going to be as good as we all hope it is. So I'm just hoping this guy's just got a lot of hubris and he's just been a bit of an idiot. Because we've seen it before where, I think an example of this was House of the Dragon, season 1, which was really good. And then you heard the showrunners talking about the episodes and what they believed and what they saw, and you were just like, you just stopped watching those shows because it kept ruining it for you because there's so much nonsense coming out of their mouths that just wasn't translated on screen, thank God. That there's just no point listening to this idiot. The show's great. Stop opening your mouth and let us enjoy it. So I'm hoping that's what we're getting here, that actually the show is good and we've just got a bit of a guy with delusions of grandeur wanging on about how brilliant he is. And he might be, this might be so good and I'll go, okay, I'll eat my words. It was better than Penguin. It was better than this. And hey, you deserve all the accolades. But right now, he hasn't proved himself. You've got a show that's so successful, it's given James Gunn a headache. Like, what do I do with this universe now? And do I have to create an Elseworlds one for it? And Colin Farrell's just won a Golden Globe. You know, and you could have come out and say, hey, we love this show. This show was great. It's the kind of thing that we're aiming for. And you know, if it lands half as well as the Penguin, we'll be really happy. But no, let's just go and say, yeah, well, our show's better than that show. And I know you kind of have that level of arrogance to probably succeed in Hollywood or just in the entertainment industry. But, you know, keep your crowing for once you've actually delivered something and see how it lands. Like, all this hubris up front is really not helping. Again, all it's done is like, you managed to win a lot of the audience over. A lot of people watched this trailer and went, do you know what? That looks better than I thought. I'm going to give this a go. And then come out with stupid stuff like that, which just turns people off again. It just beggars belief. It really does. But we did it over and over again. Hollywood's going to Hollywood, right, people? So what can I say about that? Yeah, so I guess they were the cool things I wanted to talk about. I know it's been a little while now, and I said I was planning on obviously doing this show a bit earlier in the week, following the tragic news of David Lynch. As you all know, I'm a big Dune fan. I was trying to point that way. No, that way. that one. There you go. Both the Villeneuve and the original Dune. You know, it's so ahead of its time when you watch it now. And I remember watching it. It was I think 84 it came out, so I've been like 9. I'm watching it and not having a bloody clue what any of it was about. I just knew Sting was in it, and you know, and did I know Carl McLachlan then? No, I probably didn't know Carl McLachlan either. But yeah, Sting was in it. He's like running around, this sort of psycho. And I kind of knew I kind of liked it, but I had absolutely no idea what any of it was about. But it was kind of my introduction to Dune. So when I was a little bit older, you know, got interested in the books and then the world, and I've got I should have brought it up with me, but I've got this fantastic book, limited edition book around, you know, the making of Lynch's Dune, and you know, all the chaos that went on behind the scenes. I mean, how this film actually ever made it to the cinema is amazing in itself. And I think I've talked on here before, you know, yeah, you want to talk about Mystery Box and Supernatural from Twin Peaks. Oh my God, I love that show. My cousin got me into it. I was probably a bit too young to be watching it, to be fair, but it was like, you know, we'd sit around the TV and watch Twin Peaks. That's what we did. And pretty much every week you'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like most David Lynch things you watch, you go, what the hell is going on? But so yeah, I've got, you know, got Twin Peaks on DVD, Fire Walk with Me. Then when he done the follow-up, I think very mixed feelings on that. I mean, it was great that he stuck this 25 years later thing, but I mean, that was even more out there than Twin Peaks was. And the ending was just like, I really have no idea what's going on now. I think it's something to do like interdimensions or something. Time travel, interdimensions, who knows? But he challenges you. Every film, everything he's put out, he challenges you. And we are just so missing that in our films and TV now. Everything, as I talk about on this channel all the time, everything's sort of dumbed down and spoon-fed to you and written for the lowest common denominator. And he didn't. He wrote, I think, for him. And he made stuff that made sense to him. And he had this amazing lens on the world that none of us have. And it's, even though, you know, he was getting on, but it was still, I think, taken early from us. You know, I mean, in 70s now is quite young, you know, but you know, years of smoking, that's what's going to happen, I guess. And he acknowledged that, you know. So tragic loss, absolutely tragic loss to the entertainment world. And because even like he was getting to the point that, you know, he wanted to retire, which I don't think he did. You know, he's just not there to mentor people or help, you know, because, you know, he was one of the few previous generation directors that could still push through and get stuff made that you just can't get made anymore because studios won't take risks, they won't take chances. And, you know, all that generation, I mean, you sort of look at like Spielberg's in his mid-70s now. George Lucas is in his 80s. Coppola, you know, they're all at the tail end of their careers. Ridley Scott's in his 80s. You know, we're not going to have these guys around for much longer. And like say, George Lucas is already retired, you know, and you're just sitting there going, There's no, you know, you kind of got Nolan and a couple of other directors, Rodriguez to a degree. I mean, even though his stuff on Star Wars was questionable at best. But, you know, and you would have said Mangold at one point, but again, as soon as they, you know, it's where directors seem to go to lose their talent to die at Disney now. So, excuse me again, guys. Yeah, so there's just no one, or anybody that stood half a chance of coming through, you know, again, the indie scene, who produced some quite good stuff, get snapped up by Disney, give them a film that are way out of their depth, and then ruin their careers before they even get started. So who is going to be our next David Lynch? I have absolutely no idea, because they just don't exist right now. And everything's kind of happening, you know, in America at the moment. Yes, we might get less woke stuff, inverted commas, but doesn't mean the writing's going to get any better. Just because the message isn't in it, the actual level of storytelling, is that going to get any better? Maybe not, because if you don't have, whether you're putting the message in it or not, if you don't have talent, you don't have talent. But hopefully more people with talent will start coming through with new stories, new voices, new ideas, and that's what Hollywood and the entertainment industry desperately needs right now. Everybody's, as I say all the time, and this is probably, you just, you know, not only is the entertainment industry just repeating itself, we end up repeating ourselves, saying we don't want reboots, we don't want sequels, we don't want prequels, we don't want the message, we don't. And it's the same review for practically everything that you watch. It's boring for us, it gets boring to listen to, it gets boring to say, it's boring to watch. You know, something needs to change, and something needs to give soon, and 2025 ain't it. 26, 27, 28, who knows, we'll have to wait and see, but none of us are getting any younger here. So yeah, and talking of that, again, I try not to be political on this channel, but they've obviously just released who the season 2 or season 15 Doctor Who season writers are, and there's a very controversial writer in there. And I don't think she's even controversial for being trans. It's what she says. I mean, oh my days. I mean, some of the stuff, the things that are supposedly in her children's books are so inappropriate. I would say pornographic / you know, very much over 21 only kind of, you know. I know a lot of the gay community find her homophobic and very offensive. But she basically, her stance is that gay men are actually just closeted trans people, which is highly offensive. And if anybody else said that, you know, yeah. So I don't know what we're going to get. What we're going to get is not going to be good. I mean, I don't know if it was like, you know, the writing was on the wall, they weren't going to get season 3. So RTD just went, well, if this is it, I'm going to make the season I want to make, hang the ratings. I think the ratings will dip below 2 million this season. I think it's just death nail, and Doctor Who will be cancelled. And right now, that's not a bad thing, which I hate to say because I love that show so much. But it's just not Doctor Who anymore. There's no science fiction in it. There's no, like Star Trek, there's no problem solving, you know, using your noddle. It's yeah. And yeah, I've covered. Go see my section 31 review. No science or logic needed here, just leave it at the door. You want a really bad whodunit in space where it's obvious in the first 3 minutes who did it, that's the show for you. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say on Doctor Who. There's a lot of people getting a lot stronger, and I'm fine. I just try not to be political on this channel. It's getting harder and harder to do because there's so much bonkersness happening all around, especially in the UK right now. But I just like to try and talk about entertainment and fun and escapism. So yeah, I'll try. Anyway, guys, as always, do please like, share and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the topics I've touched on today. Let me know if there's anything you want me to review, or whether, you know, new, old, doesn't matter. And I will give it a go. As I say, I took one for the team the other day and watched section 31, so you don't have to. It was bad. But I think in my view, I said, look, it's fine. It's like, if you detach it from Star Trek, it's fine, whatever. Like I say, bad whodunit in space. You put the Star Trek label on it, oof, it's bad. So, anyways, go check that out. And hopefully, as I keep saying, this blooming cold will be gone. And I'll be firing on all cylinders. So I'll be back soon. I'm sure Hollywood's bound to come out with some more stupid stuff in the next 48 hours or whatever. So yeah, I'll be back to tell you all about it and let you know my thoughts. But for now, you all take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.